Good morning and welcome to Mental Health Matters. It's the show where we take a deep dive into all things mental health and well-being. I'm Dr. Audrey Tang, my co-host is Judith Crosier, and today we're talking about working and living in alignment with your passion. Do you believe that?
Yes, I do.
You can.
Actually, I think that sometimes your passion maybe does, you've got to think about reality and your passion. So if your passion isn't going to let you afford to live, then you have to maybe do your passion and something else. Yeah. But there are lots of people that do follow what they really, really love to do and can afford to live, and so that's obviously win-win.
So it can work,
yeah.
And also I read these books about it as well, and some people have said things like, well, actually just get passionate about what you're doing, find something to get passionate about. So even if, for example, I don't know, in accountancy, say, I use that lightly in that I know some people are very passionate about numbers, and I'm not knocking that at all. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not something I would necessarily choose to be passionate about. But say if I wanted to mentor, yes, or support somebody, and yes, that was what I really enjoyed. Yeah. Maybe there's an opportunity in that job to be able to do those extra things, so you can find it as well.
Exactly, and my dad always said to me, even if you're doing something which is boring, there's always something in there that you can enjoy about it, and I've always kept that at the back of my mind, and he's right. Yes. And by the way, I love a spreadsheet. So
there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, I do. I love a spreadsheet. So what I'm doing, what I love here, in my other job, there's elements of what I love within the job, and there's also things that I don't really like that much. So yeah, I think the answer is yes and no.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because also, and I think that whole live with your passion is a little bit misleading sometimes, because there are parts of the work that everyone does, even if you're really passionate about it, that you don't like.
And also, on the other hand, is my niece is a fantastic artist. She absolutely loves it, and she tried to make a living from it, and she can absolutely do it. But she said no, because it becomes a chore then.
Yes.
So she's kind of held back a little bit, and she's kept it as her passion, and she does something else for a living now.
Now, this is something that our guest today is going to be talking about. Oh. How did you find what you really wanted to do? Because we start off in a way, I know school says, find the job that you want, and most people don't.
Yes.
How did you find what you wanted?
It's interesting, because what I really wanted to do when I left school was anything but what I ended up doing. So I applied for the police. I was too short. At the time, there was a height limit.
Wow.
Only by half an inch, but it mattered.
But it mattered.
Yeah. I tried gardening. I tried all sorts of, like being a veterinary nurse, because I loved all those things, but they were never going to work out as a career because of different reasons. So I ended up working for NatWest Bank. And that gave me a load of skills. So from there, I did different things. So my passion then became teaching, which I found through working at NatWest. I trained. So then I became a teacher, as you know, and I loved it. But there were still elements of that I didn't love. So hence, I'm not doing it anymore, you're not doing it anymore, we're not doing it anymore. So I think sometimes it can take time to settle in, or just accidentally find something you really, really love to do. Or if you're lucky, you know what you want to do when you're 12 and you follow it and you end up doing it.
Yeah. This is what our guest, Bijal Shah, is going to be talking about. She coaches using human-centered design, which it's very interesting, which she's going to talk us through. But she was also a teacher, a headmistress, in fact.
And interesting.
Is helping others, especially in the field of education, work in better alignment with their passion. And she's coming up just after this.
Hello, I'm Gordana Mitic, your host for Skits and Quibbles show. Every Thursday, 8 o'clock in the evening, PST time. And join us on Fresh Takes at E360 TV. We look forward to entertaining you.
Welcome back to the show. Hi, Bijal.
Hi.
Hi. We've talked a bit about our career journey. Can you share your career journey with us, please?
Yeah, sure. So Before becoming a human design lifestyle mindset coach, I actually used to be a head teacher in the Hertfordshire area. And it was a wonderful, wonderful job. And I've been in teaching for over sort of coming up to 20 years. And I progressed really quickly. And I used to work in private schools, international schools. So when I came back to this country, I took on a school improvement project. And it was within my skills to do it. And I was really, really excited about it. So as you know, back then, schools were graded, special measures or requires improvement. So this was a requires improvement school. It had just gone into forced academy status. And so I had to 2P the school over from being a primary school to being an academy. So I thought, okay, fine, no problem. We did the whole thing, the systems, the processes, staffing, curriculum, putting all of those things in place. And I worked a lot of hours and I thought it was normal. So I got on with it. My parents remortgaged their house to send me to a private school when I was younger. And actually, I went to school in Bedford. I had the best of British education. And so the expectation on me was high.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any other way. I rose up the ranks really quickly, became a head teacher when I was very young. And life went on. I had nothing to complain about. Good job, good salary, and you get to make a difference. But we all know, as teachers, that there is an undercurrent.
Oh, yes.
Okay? There has been an undercurrent for many years. So you're a teacher.
Our producer's a teacher.
Our producer's a teacher. My goodness me. So we all know that school life can be very challenging.
Yes.
And it's not that we don't want to make a difference, because that's why we get into teaching. It's just sometimes we can't because of the wider systems involved. Anyway, I got on with it. And I really enjoyed it. It's a rewarding career. It's full of so much red tape and so many expectations. But you just get on with it. What did I have to complain about? So we got on with it. And I thought, okay, 3 years later, if we get an Ofsted inspection, I believe we're in a good place. Boom, pandemic.
Yes, yeah.
And that was another level. I came across a podcast and it said the word human design. And I thought, I don't know what that is, but I need to do that. I need to do that. Whatever that is, that thing is for me. So I went home and I started Googling human design. I started taking, like it was going down a rabbit hole. Yeah. And I just knew this was for me.
Amazing.
That this spiritual, scientific system, wherever it's come from, I don't care, it seems to be getting results. So I started going deep into my own chart. And I couldn't believe some of the revelations and some of the insights that I got about myself. I started understanding who I really was. In fact, it wasn't really something new. It was almost like permission to be who I was. And oh my goodness, the way that I am is imprinted. It's not silly. This is just the way I am. And I thought, great, this is fantastic. So a couple of the clients I had over the pandemic, I said, I'm into this human design thing. Give me your birth information. Do you want me to read it for you? Oh my goodness, it went down so well. People my clients were saying, this is fantastic. Some of them were crying. They were saying, I feel like I can change my life now. I feel like I've got permission to be myself. And I could see the impact. Teaching, it's always about impact.
Of
isn't
course
it?
it is.
That. So, and all of a sudden, I could see the impact. And also, I was able to take their sort of innate wiring, so their human design blueprint, and tailor the coaching around that.
Brilliant.
So I got what I was looking for. And I thought to myself, I love this. I absolutely love this. And within my human design chart, which we'll show you later, I'll tell you why I loved it. Because, I am a born guide, leader, director, etc. And I just thought, this is just fantastic. I'm getting really good results. And, people were starting to change their lives. We're all brought up to be a certain way. You go to school, get an education, okay, get a good job, get married, have children, right? Pay your mortgage, work till your retirement age, and then enjoy your life. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't sit with me. Does it sit with you?
No,
I've thought a lot about this recently.
Yeah. But that model has been the model from day dot.
Yeah.
Right? I've always been taught that, you know, if you've got a good enough job and a really good pension and you've got consistency, okay, equals happiness, right? However, that equation is not working. After the pandemic, this post-pandemic era is so wonderful. It's chaotic, but so many people are starting to do drastic things. I include myself in there. I include you in there as well, yeah? So that particular structure of happiness doesn't work anymore. And people are starting to realise that. And that's why the time is now for human design. Human design's been around for ages, like since the 70s or 80s, even probably before. But it seems to me that the time is now, you know, where people need it as a guidance system, as just a way of understanding how they're imprinted, to help them on their journey, to make changes. So I think it's all down to conditioning. So we were all been brought up with parents who have particular views about money. So we adopt them about what we should do in our life, what our life structure should look like, what our daily routine should look like. But when you go against the grain, and those of us who are brave enough to go against the grain, we will be happier than what we thought. It's hard because it's completely getting into a new realm and adopting a new belief system, you know. So I think it's conditioning.
I think you're right. And so if somebody is watching and thinking, actually, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing, I want to do something else, what should they do? Should they leave straight away and pursue that? Should they stay where they are and have to think about it somewhere in between? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so I would never advise anyone to do something drastic, like walk out the door this very minute. I know you feel like it, but don't, okay? What I would do is... for me, it started with a human design reading to understand what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, what my absolute gifts are, where I am prone to conditioning and why I feel the way I do. So for me, I would raise awareness of yourself. Take a deep dive into yourself. It's the ultimate indulgence. Once you know how you're sort of wired, you can kind of figure out how you want to feel. And then you can start planning. So I didn't leave straight away. It took me about two years to leave.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah. But in that process, in that journey, I started to make changes along the way so that I could get to the point where I could hand my notice in. And more importantly, leave on a really positive note.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's really important because I didn't want any trauma. There are many head teachers going off sick or just leaving. You know, the school's just sort of there and no one's managing it. But I wanted to make sure that everything was in place. So I handed my notice in around this time last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but really early, before the head teacher notice period, so that I could put things in place. And I ended, you know, very nicely. And I'm still on my journey.
Yes.
You know, I'm still on my journey. And I have to say, yes, that was a rewarding job, but the level of burnout, the hours that you work, and the level of accountability. I don't know any other role that has so much accountability. You know, it has to crash before it can go back up. And I will support that process. I still work a lot in education as well, supporting it. However, I've given myself permission to be happy.
That's beautiful. I mean, we are going to keep Bijal with us to talk more about human-centered design because I think it's a very interesting and it's very different. It's very different. But first, a quick word from our charity partner.
A world without the arts is one without confidence, creativity and community, and yet funding has been reduced every year. Arts programmes have been shown to benefit social inclusion and well-being, particularly for marginalised groups, with projects fostering a sense of belonging, cultivating mutual understanding, and breaking down social barriers and isolation. Participation in arts programmes can help boost confidence and open doors to opportunities that may otherwise be inaccessible. Click Arts Foundation offers grants up to £2,000 for grassroots arts projects twice a year, with our community arts experience trustees meticulously scoring each project on impact and sustainability. To date, we have supported craft and visual arts projects, dance, drumming for well-being, and preservation of heritage and culture. If you share our passion, not just for maintaining the arts themselves, but contributing to the many benefits it can bring, please consider making a donation to Click Arts Foundation registered charity.
Welcome back to the show. We have Bijal Shah with us, who has been talking to us about a career journey which had to start with recognising when we weren't happy. And this is the key point of our show today. It's living in alignment with our passion. Now, Bijal, you work using human design and human-centred design as a practice, as a coaching practice. But why is that so important to understand what it is that we want or don't want, especially at that point when we're having to make that choice? Because it's almost, you feel that panic. You know, you kind of go, I don't want to be in this job anymore. And then you leave, and then it goes a few months, and then you go, oh no, I have to just jump back in, and you go back to
into something you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that transition element is really difficult because you're leaving something familiar.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you're leaving something familiar, you're coming out of your comfort zone. So on my radio show the other day, we talked about comfort zones, and we talked about, you know, prehistoric and, you know, prehistoric humans, they just had to survive.
Yeah.
So that's what your brain wants you to do. It just wants you to survive. It wants you to be in this comfort zone, because this comfort zone is where things are easy, you know, it's like a little blanket, it's
Easy,
beautiful.
it's familiar, isn't it?
Yeah. However, when you want to come out of that comfort zone, you get all that anxiety, you start to think you're not good enough, your belief systems start to fail because it's something new. All your brain wants you to do is just be comfortable and happy and, you know, remain there. So when we try to come out and do something new, it is difficult, okay? But then the more you do it, the more you create a new comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I do feel as well that, I don't know about you, but life is not smooth. You leave your job or you leave a situation, and then it's not completely fantastic and flourishing straight away. You have to understand that there's ups, there's downs, and this is why the human design system is really great, because it will show you, you know, what you can be like during transition times, where you're conditioned. Perhaps you've got a 3 in your profile, so we talk about profile lines, and that person is very much into trial and error. So once you kind of know how you're innately wired, you can somehow embrace it and use it as your strength. So, you know, that's what I did when I transitioned as well. But also, when you just decide to make a move and you don't have any understanding of yourself, and you don't understand what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, where could you kind of be really, really useful in life to somebody else, you know, make a difference. In human design, we have this thing called your life theme. All right. So it will tell you almost like the framework of your purpose. So it won't tell you what your purpose is. You do whatever you want in life, but it'll give you the framework. And whatever job or situation you're in, trust me, that life theme presents itself. So even now, in this role, I'm on the life theme of service. Right. It's all to do with correction and making things better. Okay. And I always knew that whatever job or situation I was in, it's always about correcting. I could always see what could be improved. So I always got these jobs, sort out the filing system, you know, this school requires improvement, make it good or better, you know, and this department doesn't exist, create it, or this is not quite working, can you please make it better? And I always used to think, oh, why do I always get those jobs? When I looked at my human design and I looked at how much of that is present in my imprint, I started to embrace it even more.
Wow.
Right, so there's different types of service, and my one is more sort of, okay, what's not going right, and how can I help you to kind of improve that? And that's just been my life theme. And I didn't need human design to tell me that, but it was so nice that it was there, because then I can sort of embrace it a bit more, know it's my strength.
Regard to what you do, how do you get some leaders to engage with you and to connect with it, because it might be seen as a bit out there, like a new thing?
Yeah, so I have no problem whatsoever, because people who are attracted to human design are attracted to human design, and people from all walks of life contact me. People that I wouldn't even think would be into human design. But I think what it is the timing. If I had done this 10 years ago, Perhaps not, but right now people are open, they're ready. It almost seems like
That is
there's a
true.
portal there for the work you do, the work I do. I think we're, doing our bit to take humanity into the next phase, really.
That's actually very, very true, I think. I think people are more open now.
Yes,
and I think the pandemic has made that happen because people realised they weren't happy.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
as awful as that is, and as difficult as a transition can be, I think you're more likely to put yourself into a good position once you get through that. So how did you find this process of alignment worked for you? This is not just in your career, but personally as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. I mean, it starts with personally.
Yeah,
you know,
good point.
My job or my career is secondary compared to who I am as a person, because that is just an extension of who we are. So once I started to understand my human design, my energy flow, my strengths, my weaknesses, my gifts, my talents, where I'm prone to conditioning, I started to make the changes in my personal being and tap into my inner being so that I could then really take that out into the world. So everything can be organized around that.
Love it, love it.
And alignment is not just one thing that happens in one moment. You're a vibrating, evolving human. So what's aligned with you right now might not be aligned with you in 2 weeks or in 2 years. So it's about having a consistent understanding of how you are and having that so you can flex around it. Your values change, sort of what's aligned changes. And anything in your life then can just sort of work around how you are tapped into yourself.
I know Jude's got a question coming up, but just whilst you're saying this, it makes me think, when it comes to your design, does that change or is that constant?
Your design is constant.
Right.
But your life is not.
Yes.
So every time you have a change and you need some guidance, you can tap back in and go, is this aligned with me? Is it not aligned with me? Is this something I'm being conditioned towards?
Yes. What is drawing me towards this change, I suppose.
Right,
yeah. I love it. Love it.
That makes sense. Thank you. So when you hold your workshops, how might a workshop be? What might it look like?
Yeah. So I haven't yet started doing workshops, but I have been asked. And how that would work is everybody would have their human design charts out, and I would go through the main elements of human design. So the core elements are your type, your strategy, and your authority. So your type is like your core energy, and each energy has an aura, and then each aura and energy has a strategy. Right? So this is how you kind of flex in life, your operating system, and then your authority, which is your decision-making element. Okay? So I am a projector. I make up about 20% of the population. And projectors in general are here to guide, to lead, to direct. They're more strategic.
Yeah.
And my aura as a projector is absorbing and penetrating. So that's really good, because if you are a natural guide or leader, you can kind of absorb into the other person's aura and then you penetrate it to help to guide them, right? And that's why the strategy is that in life, projectors have to be, number one, recognized, and then they have to be invited into opportunities. So previously, I was trying to initiate all the time, and it never worked, right? So when you are properly recognised and you are then invited into an opportunity that is aligned with you, all right?
Yeah.
You don't have to say yes to all opportunities. Then you can go and initiate all you want. So understanding that now on social media, I wouldn't message people. But if I did, right, and sometimes I do, okay, because, when human design came about, social media wasn't there, right? So we do have to adapt. I will never message someone with initiating conversation, book now, book here.
Yeah, we're hard
I
sell.
will always, always message with the language of availability. Hey, you connected the other day with me. Just to let you know, I've got this event happening. Check it out. If you want to contact me, this is how you can do it. So it's the language that is in line with my design.
Lovely.
Right? And then your authority is your decision-making authority. So my authority, the way I make decisions, because we all have an innate guidance system, is is intuition, right? I'm a splenic projector. So the spleen is all to do with sort of wellness, right? And it's to do with instinct, right? It's quite primal, actually. So when I'm making decisions, I have a knowing in the now. Right? I just know instantly if something's for me, if something's not. And, you know, if I go out into London or I go somewhere, my instincts are always kicking in, right? And I always knew that I knew things straight away, but I thought that was silly. However, for some people, they're not instant decision makers, right? They don't have this knowing in the now. They need to take time. They need to sleep on it, you know. So when you know that, it becomes easier for you to make decisions.
Of course.
Right? So if I'm working with like an emotional authority and they say, well, I'll think about it, I never push, because I know that is their way they make decisions. They need to sleep on it. You know, there are people who have no decision-making authority internally, but it's outer. So they need to talk to themselves or talk to people as a sounding board. But once you know this, you kind of can just get on with your life with more ease and flow.
I love this. That's really, really interesting, because this next question now relates to your point about how you message people. So you don't message with a hard sell, you message with the availability, because that's in alignment with you, and therefore the message is going to come out as more authentic and probably get more results. So with regards to that, what sort of insights have surprised people? You know, have you ever done a reading where someone's gone, that's completely opposite to how I've been living my whole life?
Yeah. So sometimes I have people who say, I'm sorry, that doesn't resonate with me. Right? No, that's not me. And I say, okay, perhaps you gave me the wrong birth information. Are you sure your birth information is correct? Your timing of your birth? But actually what's happened is they then call me back. So I've had that, and they say, I had to think about what you said. I think I was just in shock because they didn't like their design.
Yes.
Right? And some people don't. I didn't like my design when I first knew it. I thought, what? Wait, to be recognised, wait for an invitation. Who's got time for that? I'm an initiator. You know, I've been living my life as an initiator. But actually, when I just stepped back and I thought, all those jobs that I applied for, did I ever get them? No, every job I've had, I've been invited into, including this headship. I mean, you have to apply formally as well.
Yes, but
I was invited into it. And then I started to step back and understand, right, okay, don't be that annoying initiator. Because of your aura is so penetrating, it will come across repelling. So now I know when I'm at networking events and things like that, I'm very mindful. You know, and when I talk to people, it's always a language of availability, of openness, you know, because that's my energy in life.
I love this. And now Bijal is going to stay to talk us through a little bit of your own human design chart right after this. But what we're going across to do is we're going to speak with our holistic therapist, Jennifer Mckenzie, who is going to talk us through meditation for those of you who really dislike meditation.
So we're just going to talk about energy givers and energy takers. So let's start with energy givers. What's going to give you energy? Bare feet on the ground, otherwise known as grounding or earthing. Get your socks and shoes off. Get your feet on the grass, the sand, the earth, and feel the energy charging up through your feet. Sunlight. The sun is like a supercharge for your energy. You go outside, put your arms in the air and feel the sun recharging your body. Exercise, moving is another way to give yourself energy. Move your body in however you want to move your body. Hydration. One thing that we often miss out. Drink lots of water. Keep yourself hydrated. Fresh air. That's a given, really. I don't need to explain that. Being present. So being in the moment, being present in your life and being present in what you're doing. Getting enough sleep. Laughter. Laughter is a great medicine, and it's a great way to boost your feel-good hormones as well. Now, energy takers. So what's going to give you less energy and bring your vibration down? People pleasing. I know a lot of you do that. I'm one of them, or recovering. Overworking. Pushing yourself harder and harder is going to deplete your energy levels. Too much screen time. So limit the amount of screen time that you have. Maybe like set a timer for when you're having a look on social media or playing a video game or what have you, and set a timer so you can reduce your screen time. Having clutter around. So clearing your space is going to boost your energy. And having clutter around, it's cluttered space, cluttered mind. And being stagnant is going to give you less and bring your vibes down and give you less energy as well. So let's look energy takers, and let's look at the ways that you can boost your energy.
This bit is going to be so exciting and so interesting. Yeah. Bijal is going to take us through how this human design works. Over to you, Bijal.
Thanks, Dr. Audrey. So what we have on the screen is a human design chart. Have you seen one before?
No.
No. Okay, what do you think about it?
It looks like the body, it actually looks like, you know, veins and blood and that kind of thing. So there is a sort of a body part to that, but there's also the almost what I would say were astrology signs or something.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So it can be quite shocking or unusual when you first see it. So this is a human design chart. Now, human design is a combination, a synthesis of modalities. So there is a combination of the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, the Kabbalah tree of life, and we have also got astrology. Okay, so this is where some of the symbols. Now, they're all combined together to make this system, all right? And you've also got some roots there in quantum physics as well. So they say that human design is a spiritual science, all right?
Yeah.
Now, it looks all really
complex.
Cosmic and complex, but it's not. It's actually very simple. So what you have is you have this side, okay, the left-hand side is the unconscious part of you. So energies that are present within you, but you're probably not so conscious of, but they do present in your life, and perhaps other people will notice them in you. You've got the conscious side here, okay, and various human design charts, they have different colours, okay. The traditional way is you would have red here and black here, but there are different ways, all right. But it's always this side is the unconscious and the conscious side. So automatically, straight away, you've got such great information, haven't you? Purposeful information. Okay, so what you have got as well is you have got these 9 centers. So the Hindu chakra system has 7, all right? Yes. But human design, as we evolve, we've evolved into 9 centered beings. Now, these centers here, all right, they will tell you where you are prone to conditioning from others and the outside world. So if they are completely white, they will be undefined. But if they are if they're completely white, they're open. But as you see one of my ones here, it's got a little, this is called a gate, the numbers. It's got a little black circle around it. This is undefined, okay? But it's still very open, all right? So it's prone to conditioning.
Oh, okay. So undefined means that we might be led and we don't realise it.
Yes, we're influenced in that area. But you see, the reason why your soul, because this is a soul print, okay, we call it a blueprint, but it's a soul print. Your soul has chosen to come into this world wanting to learn these things. So they're also learning hubs, okay? So this is open. So my emotional centre is open. So completely open. So when your centers are very white, okay, so this is undefined because it's got a gate there. This is open, no gates defined. When your centers are very open, you take in that conditioning and you amplify it. All right? So I'm a projector, and what makes me a projector is that my sacral is not red, all right? Or it's not coloured in. Okay, so it's very open. So this is to do with energy flow. I don't have a consistent energy flow.
Yes, okay.
All right, now generators, so in human design, there are a couple of types, okay? Generator types make up about 70% of the population. Right. So 70% of the population have this defined.
So that's all coloured in?
All coloured in. So that means they've got this consistent life force energy. But the consistent life force energy can only be activated when they're totally lit up. If they're not lit up, they don't have time for it. So let's put that into perspective.
Yes.
70% of the world are generators, and if people are not lit up by what they do, we're going to get misery, right? Yeah. Now, I'm working as a projector in a conditioned way, in a generator world where everyone tells me, go, 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 work long hours, work hard, play hard. That's not for me. I don't have consistent energy flow. But my entire senior leadership team at school, they are all generators. So when I'm in school, I can take on their, their life force, and I can amplify it and be even more energetic. And when I get home, I can't even have a glass of water because it's too far away and I'm too tired. Okay?
Yeah,
so what I have got, so this is to do with your life force, okay? Now what I have got is this. This is a defined root center. So the root center is all to do with how you manage stress, okay?
Right.
Now, it's also a motor, what we call a motor, right? So I've got no life force energy, and I need to, right?
Sounds awful.
Yeah, so I've got no life force energy. I need constant breaks and, long weekends and lots of time on my own, but, so completely going against what my job was like. But I've got a rev to just
you got
boost
battery
me,
in there.
right? It's almost like a little bit of a fake energy, right?
Yeah.
But in my roles that I have in life, I need a route, a consistent way of dealing with stress, a consistent way of managing stressful situations. But I don't have the life force energy. So it's almost a little bit like a fake energy that keeps me going.
Yeah.
But obviously my soul has come onto this planet because I've got to do a little bit more in life, right? But the reason why my soul has chosen not to have life force is projectors, they're very efficient. So they're effective and efficient, right? They always look at the quickest way of doing things, the easiest way, the most effective way. All right? And as a leader and as a guide, as a director, etc., what my type is, you need that, right? Because if I had the life force energy within me, then I wouldn't think about doing things quickly and doing things effectively because I'd have the life force. I would just think everyone could just keep going like me.
I see. Yeah,
right?
I see.
So as projectors, we're here to really guide the life force.
Yes.
Right? And in human design, this is the time for projectors. You'll see a lot more projectors going into leadership roles now. Okay.
So within that, just pulling out what you said about your whole team being generators.
Yeah.
Actually, if you were the generator in a group of projectors, that would be really quite problematic for you, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Because they'd be draining you.
Yeah.
But not each other or anything, because they couldn't get anything from each other.
Absolutely. It would be rare if that happened, because at the moment...
You are drawn in.
You like 20% of the world are projectors and about 70% of the world are generators. However, this is why things like this can make it into the workplace. It's not just woo-woo.
Yeah.
Right? So... with my senior leadership team, luckily, they were all interested in this and actually bought me a lovely human design book for my leaving present too. So it was really cute.
That's nice.
We all sat down, got our charts out one day after school, just informally, and we were looking at sort of the team dynamics. Okay, so you're very good at research, right? Okay, you're very good with the people-centered sort of aspect. I'm very good strategically. You're a role model here. So, so what we did is we decided during staff meetings we would utilise that. So I would strategically put the staff meeting in place and strategise of how we needed to have it for the year. One person would be the research person, one person would be the person going around, the other person would be the person delivering, and we work to each other's strengths. Yeah. And eventually, human design started coming into our day-to-day conversation. And they would say things to me like, yeah, but Bijal, we know that you're not really an on-the-ground person. You don't have the life force for it, but we're here, right? So for me, being the projector leader, it is within my remit to delegate effectively. The minute I learnt my human design, I sat with my business officer and I said to her, right, we need to restructure this because I'm doing everything and I don't have the life force. So we started bringing on a pastoral lead, an assistant head. We started bringing on like a few hubs and who could manage those, and really started thinking about how can this school work without me having to work so hard, because I should be here to strategize, to put the bigger picture in place. And actually the school has such a robust system in place because we were able to use the human design, but we never told anyone because, you know, it might be a bit too
well, that's the thing, because people are going to judge. They will have something to say. Now, I just want to ask, looking at this chart, are the colours significant? and the brown, the yellow.
No,
green.
so the colours are not significant. What's significant is whether they're coloured in or not.
Right,
Okay, so they come
got
in
it.
different styles. So this is probably a little bit more traditional. Okay, but you can brand colours now if you want. Okay, so what you have got here is the planets. So can you see the planets?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
and with the planets, you can see numbers. Okay, so these numbers, they're gates. And the gates are your consistent strengths, okay? So they're your consistent strengths, and the planets will show you how it's influenced, okay? So it's how it's influenced. So for example, you can see that I've got gate 18, and this is the moon, and the moon represents what drives you, what motivates you.
Okay.
So the moon, and I've got it in 18, 18 again is to do with correction.
Right.
Okay, now with every gate, you can be functioning to the highest expression or the lowest expression of yourself. So the highest vibration of a gift or the lowest vibration of a gift. All right?
Okay.
So it's always about that, because just because you've got a gift, just because you've got a strength doesn't mean that you're doing it.
That's true.
You can have a lower vibration of it or a highest vibration. I'll explain that in a little while. So gate 18 in the moon means that I'm really driven by making improvements. It drives me. It's my driving force. And then you can see these little, these like little decimal points,
Yeah.
point. These are called profile lines. It's in profile line 5, which is to do with the masses. It's to do with problem solving.
Okay.
Right? So you can see immediately, as I've talked to you about my career journey, you can see how it is within my chart as well.
Yeah.
Now, the most important thing here is that in human design, you've got the astrology sun. And just like astrology, the sun is a major, major part of human design. So this is about 70% of what you're here to do. 70% of your blueprint is basically the main core part of you as well. Okay, so you can see again, I've got gate 18 in the sun, right? So not only am I here to share that, it drives me, right? Then in your human design chart, you will have what we call channels. So anything that connects one center to the other center, and they can be in different forms, right?
Okay.
So for me here, this is completely a complete gift of mine, okay, that I have, because it's a full channel.
Yes.
Right? So, it's very, very defined, as you can see. So here, as you can see, we've got 18 again, right? And we've got 58. Now this, all right, is to do with judgment, and it's to do with correction. Now, the highest vibration of this gate is putting in systems and processes for more well-being, more joy, more vitality, so things can flourish, okay? The lowest vibration of this is perfectionism, okay? It's perfectionism,
Yes.
It's being hard on yourself, not good enough. So you see a lot of people with this channel here, the lowest vibration, they might be addicted to plastic surgery. Okay, they're constantly trying to perfect things. They're a bit hard on themselves. They take a long time to get over themselves because they always feel like they're not good enough. You can even get self-harming here as well. Okay, if you really are to the lowest vibration, because what you're doing is you're constantly looking for perfection. And what I have learned in human design, this channel is not for the individual. So you can automatically see in your partner, oh, I should be doing that, shouldn't be doing that, no, you should be doing that. But it's not for the individual, it's for the masses, right? So now I know it's not there to tell people about themselves, okay? So in the past, I may have come across to individuals as slightly judgmental because I wasn't using the gift in the right way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I am here to judge and to have opinions, okay? But it's to do with making things better. But it's for the masses, not really for the individual.
Yes, that
right?
makes
And
sense.
it's a projected strength, okay? A projected gift. So it has to be recognised and invited. So if I sit here and I say, oh, I know exactly what you need to do, but you haven't recognised me or you haven't invited to give me, for me to give you my insight, then it's going to come across repelling.
Yes.
So putting me in my place and understanding when to keep my mouth shut.
Yes.
So the other day I had a client of mine and he said, do you know, I really recognise in you that you know how to make this training better. Can you come and work with me and show me? I mean, I could see it straight away,
Yes.
but I didn't say anything because it wasn't invited. But he
Yes.
did invite me, and I'm now working with him
Yeah.
on that, right? So that is what we call a correct energetic exchange.
Yep, that makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yes, it does.
And now just a couple of questions looking at the chart.
Yeah.
You say that everything can be different for other people.
Yeah.
Now, do you mean, for example, for some, it's not 58 down there,
Yeah.
it's 22?
So many combinations, I couldn't even
Right,
tell you.
but could 58 be in your chart, say, be connected to 32, or does that pathway not work in that way?
yeah, they can be connected in
Oh,
all
in different ways.
Yeah.
Right.
They can be connected in different ways, you know, and it's really good to understand. So, for example, here, this is the throat center, Dr. Audrey. So you probably see mine's defined.
Yeah.
Right? We've got a consistent way of expressing ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. Some people don't have it coloured in, but it doesn't mean they can't express themselves. They just have to be invited a bit more. These people tend to go on a little bit more. You know. So when I'm doing some interview practice with people who have open throats, it's really good. Because then they know just to stick to the question, wait for the invitation, you know, stick to just saying what you need to say,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, there's so much more about what I'm saying there. I'm just giving you an
Oh, yeah,
overview.
absolutely.
Okay,
No.
so you can see that my head centre is completely open, right?
Yes.
No definition whatsoever. So the open head centre is there to take in inspiration, and it's there for ideas. So these people tend to be inspired by things. They know what's inspirational, what's not for them, and they have really good ideas. But the conditioning there is that they think about things too much and things that don't matter, which causes mental pressure.
Yes.
Right? So sometimes, now I know that, I say to myself, so you often, with an open head centre, get caught up in questions that don't matter. You know, oh, I'm going on holiday tomorrow, and what if I don't get to the gate on time?
Yeah.
And actually, does that matter? No.
Yes.
So you can actually start to, you know, start to trash those non-serving thoughts. So now I say to, if a thought pops into my head, I think, is that thought serving me or not? Am I thinking about things that don't matter?
Yeah.
Right?
I can see how this is really helpful. I'm going to invite you to grab a seat now. And just say, and this is the same with any form of coaching, to be honest.
Yeah.
You've got this design, people understand, and people understand how it's going to be used to their best effect.
Yeah.
They still need to take responsibility to do it. So,
Yeah.
like with yourself, you have that thought, will I get to the gate in time?
Yeah.
You could allow yourself to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What stops you?
Yeah, so it's like if you sign up to a training course or you sign up to an exercise class or something, and you're only going to get the results, you are only going to get good results if you put the work in.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just a tool. It's a self-discovery tool.
Yes, you choose to use it or you don't.
Yeah. Okay. It will give
Love
you
it.
insight. What you do with it is up to you, right? So to what extent you want to take it to. Some people like to just have one human design reading, get a good overview, come back a few months later. Some people just want to know because it's interesting and they don't do anything with it. But in my experience, even those people have learnt something that they implement.
I love
You just can't really.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
not
you can't just
implement.
know and not use it.
Yeah.
I always think. Amazing. Well, I mean, we're out of time now, which is a shame because this is just so fascinating. But we'll keep you for our last word to give our viewers a words of wisdom to send everyone on their way for a good week. But we're heading over to Business Boost now. In today's Business Boost, I wanted to stick with the theme of today's topic, and this is working in alignment with your passion. Now, if you haven't got the opportunity to go through with a coach or to work through with somebody, what really is going to work for you? And I do recommend, actually, if you can afford it, it's a good decision to make. Here are some prompts that you might want to think about as you go on your way. And these come from positive psychology because Martin Seligman talked about 3 key routes to happiness. One is healthy relationships, one is being in a state of flow, and the other is finding meaning in what we do. Now, flow and meaning can come very much into the workplace, as can healthy relationships, but it's flow and meaning where often we talk about how we want to spend our days. So here are some questions that I'd like you to ask yourself. The first question is, how often do I get lost in a moment? And this could be a moment in the workplace, this could be a moment outside the workplace, but think about how often do I get lost in a moment to the point where you lose track of time, that kind of getting lost in it. Then, this is where the work comes in. Ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing when that happens? Because that already gives you a bit of an insight into what helps you the most. So just as an example, I was teaching dance the other week and someone commented, the hour just flew by, and I felt that as well. I was completely lost in that moment, but I love teaching. So just bear that in mind. Now, ask yourself, how often do I get to do that? And if it's not very often, then some of the things you might need to do is, how can I add a bit more of that into my life? And if, for example, it is teaching or mentoring, as I said at the start of the show, it might be a case of asking your workplace to see whether they can allow you to do a little bit more of that in the work that you already do. And that leads me to my last question, which is, how can I get to do that particular thing more? And if it's not possible to do within the workplace, consider doing something extracurricular. So, for example, if a passion of yours is coaching and mentoring or organising, maybe it's a case of organising a five-a-side football match after work. There are many ways to connect with ourselves. We just need to be aware of them. Welcome back to the final part of Mental Health Matters. And you've blown my mind, Bijal. Because what you say about the insights that you can give really gives a starting point for people to think about themselves and reflect on the pathway they wish to choose. Yeah. And that insight is so important. I think we all need that. This is the bit where we talk about the key things to take away. and this is hard, again, because there's so much there. What have you got?
I know, it's such a huge topic.
Yes.
I mean, the amount of information is massive. I think the big takeaway that I've got is sometimes just stop and think, am I doing A, what makes me happy, and B, what I should be doing? Do I have other strengths? You know, am I using my strengths in the right way? I think that's the kind of overall feeling I get from everything you've said.
I love that, and for me, it's the point that you made earlier about the way in which you do things. Yeah. Because so often, whether it's conditioning or whether it's not knowing any other option, we do things in a certain way, and it doesn't work. And there's something that drives you to just keep going. Yeah. Just keep doing it. Yeah. Because everyone else is doing it, so it must work at some point. It's when do you stop? When do you pivot? And when do you actually carry on? It's answering those questions. And I think what the chart does is it gives you a little bit of guidance to those answers. Yeah. So for yourself, Bijal, I guess to close our show, 2 questions. One is, what do you get the most out of knowing your chart? And secondly, words of wisdom to our viewers.
So what I get the most out of my chart is a manual.
Yes.
Right? Like a little bit of a guidance system that I can refer to as my life changes and it evolves. I have a kind of manual that will kind of bring me back on track, right? We're only human, so the human design system is just there to support you, right? It's the ultimate self-discovery tool, I feel, okay? It's the ultimate alignment tool. Yeah. But alignment is something that is a journey, right? So for me, I have a manual, right? I have a reliable manual that when my life just gets too chaotic, you know, I can say, yes, I know why. Okay, this is why. Tap back in, right?
Love it.
And I think my words of wisdom would definitely be, if you don't know where you're going, you know you want to change, but you don't know how, then get a reading. Because a reading will help you to get you back on track, just to show you how you're innately wired. But also, if you don't want to get a reading, how do you want to feel in life? Okay? So some people, they don't know their birth information and they may not know, may not be able to get a human design reading. How do you want to feel? I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, easy is right. And this human design system is all about showing you how you can just live your life with more ease and flow, because other than that, it's too chaotic, right? So this is why I would say, how do you want to feel? If you want to take a step into something new, get a reading, because it really will show you how you are innately wired and what you're here to do.